Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bound to Talk Football. I'm Blake Walker. He's Paul Arridge in the dark. Thank you for tuning in and listening to Bound to Talk Football. It is our recap episode of Week 7. That was a really long, intro because I couldn't find the stop music button. So that, apologize if we just stood there and stared at you if you're watching online. Thanks to everybody for watching repeatedly. We really appreciate it. Subscribers and whatnot. We apologize for no Friday episode. Paul and I recorded a Friday episode, and then I didn't upload it immediately after like I usually do, and I get back Friday morning, and I'm like, okay, I forgot to upload it, and the file was corrupted, so we didn't get our Friday episode out. We apologize. Our Friday episodes usually don't do as well just because it's the day of, but these episodes do well, recapping, and then we'll go over RPI again on Wednesday. But Paul, how was Week 7? It was cool. It finally felt like football weather. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, this is the first football weather weekend. Good games across the board. I think this was the week of finding stuff out about certain.
Yeah, we found out who teams are this week. Indeed.
Yeah, which is crazy to say when it was Week 7, but
yeah,
the way that this season can be shaped.
And it's amazing. The RPI is going to shift a ton. I mean, You can just tell it's going to move drastically. That's why last week we said, okay, yes, they're not great to start, but they will work themselves out. We're going to see that this week. I will come prepared on Wednesday with our district sheets, and we will have districts figured out, and we're going to figure out that stuff so we can go more in depth on, okay, who's going to get in, how do you have to beat, blah, blah, blah. We have some of that in here because there were crucial district matchups. I got help from Troy Hyde from Newton. He sent me a good, quick description on Twitter of here's how 2A playoffs work. Here's how 1A playoffs work. Here's how A. We'll go over that on Wednesday. Troy, I appreciate it. He listens to almost every podcast. Troy, we really appreciate you. Might have to have Troy on sometime. You never know. But yeah, Troy, great for the Newton Daily News. Shout out Troy Hyde. But what games you watch on Friday?
Waukee Sep, Ankeny Liberty. Sorry, I'm so basic.
I will say I went in high hopes for that Waukee game, and I didn't have a color guy. So I was, that already throws me off. I just hate being by myself up in the booth. So I tried everything I could to make it interesting, but I don't know. We'll start with Class 5A, and we'll start with that game. So I guess here we go. Class rundown from Week 7. Number 1, Southeast Polk hammers. Number 5, Waukee, 38-0. This thing really wasn't even close. Southeast Polk got the ball first and took the thing all the way down the field. Really no resistance. They missed the field goal because of a botched snap. And then from there, it was just easy. Waukee only crossed the 50 once, and it was in the last minute of the ball game when they had all the backups in. I mean, this was just utter domination by Southeast Polk. Connor Moberly, 15 of 21, 202 yards and a touchdown. He ran for 11 yards. 2 touchdowns on 2 QB sneaks. I don't know, man. Waukee's defense was not there on Friday night, and you probably saw it too. There was just something not there on the defensive side. They were running zone all night. They just didn't want to cover Robbins and Zelenovich man on man, and it just cost them terribly.
Yeah, it was tough. Offensively too, they just didn't get anything going.
No. They had maybe 3 breakaway runs by Beckett, and
they had below 100 yards, basically 106.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it just wasn't. It just wasn't a good night. I mean, they struggled. They only took a couple deep shots early, and then they just abandoned the passing game. They went to the running game. It's not like it was that windy, but Connor Mobley and Southeast Polk's just quick slant route passes. Nobody can defend them right now. They're just automatic. Yeah. Someone's got to figure something out. But I will say, Paul, what I learned on Friday night, you don't understand how big Southeast Polk's offensive line is. That was the biggest difference. Waukee's D-line, they're big. They're not that big. I mean, they could not pressure Moberly at all. They just could not do anything. They'd get run over top of. They couldn't do anything. The linebackers could only do so much. That's why Southeast Polk Dowling this week, that's fun because you get 2 of the beefiest lines in the state finally get to face off. And then it's like, all right, see what your playmakers can do. But wake up call for Waukee because I think Waukee can make the dome, maybe, but they played like that. They ain't making the dome.
Yeah. No, that was scary. You kind of want them to compete a little bit. And that's just, like you said, wasn't a competition. We'll have to see how they kind of rebound. I know their schedule, I think, now is like...
It's easy. They Roosevelt this week on Thursday at the MediaCom Stadium, first ever game there, and then they end the season against Council Bluffs, Abraham Lincoln. So should get a top 8 finish. Yeah. They're going to get home field advantage in the playoffs, which is great. I think they need it. But they're going to get a 9 seed or a 10 seed that it's not going to be easy for Waukee, that's for sure.
Yeah. Sorry, it's getting scary resume-wise for them, in my opinion.
Because their best win is what? Johnston? Yeah.
And you can argue top 2 teams they played, they lost to. Johnston did beat Waukee Northwest, though. So
yeah. It's a weird,
They did get a kind of a fluky play. No, not that it was, not to take away from it.
Well, the RPI doesn't know that they won like that, so take it as you will. But definitely a wake-up call, maybe for Waukee as Southeast Polk continues to be dominant. Number 7, Ankeny defeats Iowa City Liberty 40-21, a must-win game for Ankeny. Kind of the nail in the coffin for Iowa City Liberty. They won't be making the playoffs in their first year of Class 5A, but Caden Henkes, 21 carries, 243 yards, 3 touchdowns. Good to see Ankeny back in the run game. This was a 21-20 game going into the fourth quarter, and Ankeny just pulled away late, but Ankeny's a good team. They're going to finish top 5 in the RPI.
Yeah, which is just simply ridiculous.
You just wouldn't think it was happening after the first couple of weeks. But their only 2 losses are the 2 best teams. Yeah,
ridiculous. Yeah, good to see Ankeny back in the run game.
It's been a while.
That boy Colin Gadoff. It's the last time I remember him. And Jason probably had a couple good games last year.
Yeah.
But, obviously a big win for Ankeny. Not that they must win. Maybe not 6, but must win in the sense for them to be a high seed.
Yes. We'll talk about that. I forgot to put notables in here, but I'll throw it in real quick. Valley defeated Waterloo West 49-0. It's win-out mode for the Tigers. And what's crazy? That's a good RPI win. Waterloo West was 16th in the RPI, so they beat a top 16 team, crushed them 49-0. Valley's got the schedule to make it. I'm telling you, man, this is it. This week is it. If you beat Ankeny, your hopes are still alive. If you lose to Ankeny, you're done. You're not making it at 3-6. But a 4-5 Valley team can easily make the playoffs. At least I think. We'll see where they stack up this week. But I say they're probably going to be around the 23rd, 22nd spot, right near Johnston.
Yeah, it's never over for Valley, it feels like.
Plenty of time. Plenty of time.
That RPI just carries.
Yeah, that's the big one. They've done all they needed to do and win out. It's that simple. They got a big chance this week against Ankeny in Valley Stadium. That would be a stunner right there. Number 14, Linmar defeats number 12, Davenport West 14-12. Good effort here by Davenport West, but the Lions get the best of it. I don't even know. I didn't even put a name on who did this, but it had to have been the quarterback. 108 yards, 18 carries, or 18 rushes on the ground and a touchdown. I don't even know why I didn't put the name there, but good win for Linmar, excuse me. They're going to be borderline right there on the cutoff for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they do kind of still have a tough. They got Iowa City High on the road and Pleasant Valley.
City High is going to be another close one.
Yeah, they got a tough kind of end of schedule. We'll see how they squeak in. A little concerned with the score, probably mentally.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I'm assuming they missed 2 PATs, which is tough. What is it?
Yeah, that's either that or you kick a ton of field goals. I don't know. It's almost like I wonder if this Davenport West team is better than last year's Davenport West team.
Yeah, because I don't think last year's team would have done this.
No. So I guess improvement there for Davenport West. Last one, number 2 Dowling defeats number 9 Urbandale 29-0. This is a respectable score by Urbandale. I think they played pretty well. It was 22-0 at halftime. Dowling only scored a touchdown the rest of the way. Dante Cataldo didn't play great, which if you're looking ahead to next week, you're like, probably want to pick that up. But Rashad Davis is the man. 27 carries, 163 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And he's running behind one of the best offensive lines in the state, behind Southeast Polk. Dowling just keeps on trucking. Both Southeast Polk and Dowling get shutout wins before the big game.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit maybe of a look ahead, which is maybe a little disrespectful to Urbandale, but I won't be surprised Dowling's kind of looking ahead for the Southeast Polk game.
Yeah. Matt is supposed to work on a graphic this week for us of the previous matchups. Southeast Polk's won the last 2, 3?
Yeah.
Something like that. Going back to Wampa's Hail Mary.
And they beat him in the playoffs, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So
twice.
Well, and then they beat him last year like 38-24 or something like that. Abu Sama's breakout game to start the season.
Oh, yeah. 3 times in a row, and I think
something
they beat
like
him the year before.
So the Rams got their numbers. I mean, it's what could you ask for? It's 2 undefeateds. Week 8, I know, it sucks. I wish they weren't playing this late, but you got the 2 perennial powerhouses that are in the state right now. I'm sorry, it's just those 2. So take it as you will, but that's Class 5A. Good games this week. Great games next week. We'll talk about that when we get to our Games of the Week segment. Let's jump down to Class 4A. A lot happened. 4A and 3A is great, man. I love 4A. We'll start with the number 1 game that everybody was talking about. Number 6, Bondurant takes care of Gilbert. Number 1, Gilbert. 38-7. Titus Cram, 25 carries, 168 yards, 3 touchdowns. Here's the thing, Paul. You and I saw this coming. We didn't sugarcoat it. We both said specifically last week that this game was not going to be close. But I will give Gilbert credit. It was 7-7 for a while. Like they hung around. But if you look at
going into the 4th,
if you look at the stat sheet, Gilbert did not do much in this game. No, did they maybe over 100 yards, just barely?
Barely, by like 10 yards. 1.9 yards per carry, and 30 attempts. Bondurant was just a mismatch.
Whoever was on the Gilbert Twitter account was great. Like they had a little bit of sass to them, you know, like they were like, we're hanging tough. And then like Bondurant would score and then they'd score again. And they're like, Bondurant scores a meaningless touchdown late. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Gilbert has to push this in the rearview mirror quickly because the next 2 weeks, guess what? You got a target on your back, whether you like it or not. I don't care if you just lost to Bondurant. You're still, I mean, you've talked up, you've done your chatting, and now you're like, okay, now you got Newton, who needs to win to keep their playoff hopes alive, and you got Pella, who needs to win to keep your playoff hopes alive. Paul, there is a world where Gilbert does not make the playoffs at 6-3 because of that schedule that they had coming in.
Yeah. I mean, tough. They get the gauntlet at the end of the season. We saw this coming for like 4 weeks. It's going to be big.
Where do you think they go in the RPI here?
Like how far they drop?
Yeah, because their opponent's strength of schedule is not good. I think it was 21 and 30 something.
I have no idea like how so exactly.
Maybe 6th, 5th.
Yeah, like I'm sure it won't be like a crazy drop.
No,
but do you think you would have seen number 6 Bondurant defeats number 1 Gilbert
in week 1? Tell us that would have happened in week 1.
Yeah, that would.
I would have imagined Bondurant beating Gilbert. I wouldn't imagine Gilbert being number 1, but
yeah, exactly.
I'm sure. I mean, nobody wants to see any team lose, but a lot of people were annoyed that Gilbert was number 1. So I'm sure a lot of people are happy about that. But I hope Gilbert still makes the playoffs because I think they're a good team. I think it's good that they've done this, especially after what happened last year, just a really tough year. It's so ironic because last year they had the easiest or the toughest schedule in the state. And now this year they got one of the easiest schedules in the state, minus what's on the back half. So hopefully the Tigers can rebound. We'll see what happens this week as they have to go to Newton to take on the Cardinals, who are getting things rolling after winners of 2 straight. This is one that got me. Number 12, Marion defeats number 5, Decorah, 28-21. Granted, Decorah, another easier schedule. A lot of people are like, they were the biggest head scratcher. Like, what are they doing at 5? Caleb Dyers, 16 of 26, 172 yards and 3 touchdowns. This is a huge win for Marion to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, this is massive for them. I was shocked when I saw this too. Honestly,
I don't know. The score didn't go in on Bound. I would have posted it on Friday, but tough loss for Decorah. I mean, I don't know who Marion's 2 losses are to. I know one of them's to Western Dubuque. I don't know what the other one's to, but Benton. Ooh, that's a tough one because Benton, we'll talk about that. Benton's a 3A school. I didn't even think about that. So that is tough, but much needed win for Marion Tough loss for Decorah. Now their losses are to Independence and now Marion. Independence, 3A school, I think. Nope, 4A, I think. I don't know. Anyway, big win for Marion. Good for the Wolves. Tough loss for Decorah. Number 2 ADM defeats Ballard, number 13. Ballard 20-13. It was 20-0 at halftime, and then Aiden Flora got hurt. Flora, though, in the first half, 4 of 11, 18 yards, barely was passing the ball, but he ran for 259 yards and 3 touchdowns. Flora was hurt in the second half. He had a shoulder injury. He did not return for the game. We don't know his status, but the fact that ADM didn't score at all in the second half is a little worrisome if Aiden can't come back. Well, we know that. If Aiden can't come back, this ADM team is nowhere close to what they are. But it just shows that Aiden is the backbone of this team.
Yeah, that's so brutal. I mean, this man was on pace to be like at 500 yards.
Well, and we don't know the severity. It could just been a simple shoulder thing, and they're like, okay, we can't risk injury. We'll just keep him out. We don't know. I just know that Shannon from KCCI showed up to the game, and she had the video on Twitter that he was getting checked out. He didn't play the entire second half. But just a tough one. And if you're Ballard, man, you were close. I mean, you were there. You just got a lucky break in a way, and that's a tough loss for the Bombers. But they'll have that North Polk win that they can bank on. They might be one of those sneaky ones. We'll talk about them on Wednesday when it comes to the district stuff. But, yeah, ADM survives, I guess you could say. Hold your breath. Number 9, Glenwood defeats number 16, Dallas Center Grimes, 21-14. I think Glenwood still threw 2 picks in this game, but it didn't matter. Caden Anderson, 13 of 27, 184 yards and a touchdown. He also ran for a touchdown, Tough loss for DCG. I'd be curious to see what the district looks like, but Glenwood just kind of keeping their hopes alive. Arguably, that's their best win right there. That's your best win.
Might give it their best win.
There you go.
Still threw 2 picks, so DCG just keeps intercepting.
Man, that's a ball hawking team.
Yeah.
That's an interesting team. Good for the Mustangs. I wonder if Tate Perrin was one of those picks. I don't know.
Check.
But either way, much needed win for Glenwood. Needed that one severely, and I'm sure they'll take it. See anything?
I do not. I see 2 picks, but they only have one of the picks in the stats.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Yeah.
This is a cool one. Des Moines North defeats Boone, number 20 Boone, 36-35. This was a thriller. Augustine Slay, 8 tackles, 3.5 for loss, 2.5 sacks. What a game for the defensive lineman or D-end, whatever, or linebacker. Good win for Des Moines North. Boone, just tough. Started 3-0, have lost 4 straight, but good win for the Polar Bears, man. I mean, that's a feel-good win from having a game. Well, no, it wasn't. That was Hoover a couple weeks ago that had the game postponed because of the power or canceled because of the power outage. But good win for the Polar Bears. Anything on that stat sheet, or do you have it?
Not really. I mean, good.
It was a wild game.
I mean, it was a rush.
It was a wild game. Yeah, good game. Another one I just wanted to bring up. North Scott is not in a safe spot RPI-wise. They came into this past week number 17. They defeated Clear Creek Amana 16-14. Clear Creek Amana is now 2-4. They were 2-3 going into this game, or 2-5, whatever, 2-5. So they were 2-4 going in.
Yes.
This makes me think Kyler Girardi did not play because I don't know. Maybe Clear Creek Amana just played great, but I didn't see stats when I put this in. So no stats.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I don't know if Girardi played. And if he's not playing, it's almost like ADM. They're not the team that they are.
Yeah. What's up with these 4A quarterback injuries, man?
I don't know. It's the turf, man. I tell you what.
Turf.
It's the NFL, man. Get rid of the turf.
Aiden Flores' shoulder, that turf.
Dang it. North Scott survives, but that RPI is not being kind. Granted, they're top 2 in their district. They're going to be fine. Yeah. But let's go to 3A. 3A was fun this week, and it starts out with one that I feel like we didn't talk about enough, but number 4 Solon downs number 1 Williamsburg 21-14. Brett White again defensively just showed out. 12 tackles, 1.5 for loss, 1 sack. Solon beat Williamsburg and only passed the ball once. Are you kidding me? Williamsburg did not look good. Like, Solon's defense must be legit, which we know they're legit because they now held Williamsburg to 14 points and Mount Vernon to 20 points. But my goodness, what in the world happened to the Raiders? I mean,
here's my thing. So this honestly makes no sense. Kellen Cockrell played, but then Derek Wieskopf just snagged quarterback at some point.
Well, so here's the thing.
I don't know what happened if there's a
Cockrell has struggled at times this year. And Tyler said that when he went to the Xavier game. He's like, Cockrell made a couple mistakes, but he buckled down and he made big plays. So it's possible that Williamsburg doesn't quite know what they want at quarterback. But overall, I don't know. Just a very, like, what? I don't know. And I said this week before, well, I said it on Friday's episode that didn't happen, but this game's always close. It doesn't matter. This game's always close. It was at home for Solon, which I think was really big, having that crowd behind him. But, boy, what a win for the Solon Spartans. I'm not going to spoil what you have ahead, but I'm with you. I mean, this is a phenomenal win, and Solon's just shooting up the ranks.
Yeah, and for me, here's my reaction is I said it last week. I just said you can't throw in an athlete against really good defenses and expect it to just work.
Yeah.
I'm concerned with Kellen. Like, I feel like this team, we kind of had as unanimous one. It was like easily, not even a question.
But you got to think, man,
the quarterback controversy,
the schedule besides Xavier, not there.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, that district's not great. South Tama, Fairfield, it's not like they're playing amazing teams, but
I hate to hate on that win against Xavier, but
we
know Xavier's not like that.
And Xavier was a 2-point conversion away, a random 2-point conversion try, could have gone to overtime, but just said, all right, we'll go for it, and lost, Yeah. Just
and we know they're not the number one team in 3.
No. And I'm not, again, I don't want people to listen to this and think we're saying Williamsburg sucks now. That's not what we're saying. But it's definitely like okay, yeah, but you were supposed to be the number one team. Like, number one, when a number one goes down, that's a big deal. Ironically, it happened in 4A and 3A, but that's a different story. Good win for Solon.
Reevaluate.
Yes, yeah. But the thing is, they get one more test. I think they get Benton. I guess they get Grinnell this week, which I feel bad for Grinnell. They're going to get a very ticked off Williamsburg team. But, we'll see what happens. But great win for Solon. Probably the best team Solon's had since the year they lost to Western Dubuque in the title game. I saw a stat, Solon in their last almost 70 games is 63-5. Nobody talks about that. They're so good every year in and year out. But
yeah, they're one of those consistently good teams.
Yeah, good coaching staff, everything else. My boys, I was so happy when I saw this game. My cousin was at the game because his dad is the assistant coach, who is my uncle. Nevada, number 5 Nevada defeats number 14 Harlan 39-20. I don't care what Harlan's record is. Harlan's a very good team. And Nevada gave Harlan their worst loss since the North Scott championship game when they lost to North Scott and they threw 7 picks in a game.
Yeah.
Probably worst regular season loss in a long time for Harlan. Kyle Kingsbury had a day. 4 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Dude picked off the ball 3 times. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you've seen his picture, but he also had one of his catches was one of the most insane catches. You knew Nevada was winning this game when they went for it on 4th and 17. They threw a touchdown pass. You're like, all right, this game's over. This is the Nevada team that can win the state championship. This is the Nevada team that can go to the Dome. This is why I picked Nevada to go to the Dome. They're just so fundamentally sound on defense when they're on it. And Kaysen Stevenson had a great game as well.
Yeah, and this game was really 32-7 going to the 4th.
Yeah.
So some not garbage time. Don't want to always say that, but touchdowns that probably didn't matter too much. I'm looking at the Hampton-Dumont game. I'm like, what happened? This team was supposed to be defeated.
The Hampton-Dumont Cal game is I think that was just an emotional game for Hampton-Dumont Cal. I'm not saying it was their Super Bowl, but they're like, okay, we got to win this game, and they've just fallen off ever since. But I don't want to also change it quickly, Paul. This Harlan team can miss the playoffs. because here's the thing. That win for Nevada locked them in. They are, no matter what, they will finish 1 or 2 in the district. Creston, they play Creston this week. That'll be the 1 seed. Harlan is left to fight for a wild card in 3rd. What's Harlan's best win? Glenwood? Which isn't bad.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
probably that.
It's going to be close. Their schedule to finish is easy.
They'll probably be Atlantic and Knoxville.
Yeah. So maybe a 16 seed. Now, I will say, dangerous 16 seed.
Yeah, that's a scary team.
That's the team you don't want to face. But just an off night for Harlan, and Nevada took full advantage, and I'm proud of the Cubs. What a game. I am sticking with Nevada. Number 10, Algona defeats number 7, Humboldt, 34-17. Alex Mensky, I know we talk about him too much, but it's like you and I are talking about, Paul. We can't not talk about him. 12 of 17, 112 yards, ran for 133 yards and 3 touchdowns. The most insane stat we have. We were talking about it beforehand. Alex Mensky has picked the ball off from opposing teams more times than he has thrown interceptions for his own team. And he's thrown 25 touchdown passes this year. That is the most ridiculous stat I have ever heard. Are you kidding me?
Probably number 2 for me. Reese Heitman having that game.
Okay, well, yeah, that was a crazy stat. But overall, season arcing, that's unbelievable.
100%. They got it done on the ground this game. 301 yards on the ground with 6.5 yards per carry. Defensively, they didn't allow anything practically.
Huge district game.
Big bounce back, too, from Algona after an emotional loss. This
should put them number 2 in their district right behind Clear Lake. So this should put them in the driver's seat, realistically. That's a good district, like we've talked about. Have they played Webster City yet? Yes, maybe.
Algona?
Yeah.
Check.
Is that not their district?
No, they play them this week.
Okay. So another big one.
They got kind of a tough end.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens. They're getting tested. That's one of the best districts in the class. So, you know, that works. Number 7, Humboldt. I mean, that's a win over a better team, technically. So, that'll help them, the RPI, immensely.
Dominant win. 34-17. Pretty dominant win, too.
Yeah, it is. Number 2, Clear Lake, undefeated still. Defeats number 12, Hampton Dumont Cal, 21-6. Titan Schmidt, 37 carries, 181 yards, 1 touchdown. I think this Clear Lake defense is more – I don't know what we should be talking about more, their offense or their defense. Because their defense against decent teams holds up pretty well defensively. Gave up 25 to Waverly Shell Rock, gave up 28 to Algona, but those are 2 pretty good offenses. By the way, Waverly Shell Rock won their first game this week over Mason City, and they crushed them. So good to see the Go Hawks get that first victory, because in a different universe,
got that schedule.
In a different universe, they'd probably be 5-1 or something.
It's dumb.
But boy, Hampton Dumont Cal, man, just slipped. I mean, started 4-0. They've lost 3 straight. I guess they can still maybe get in. I don't know what their situation is in their district. We'll talk about that on Wednesday. But are you in on Clear Lake? Are we all in?
We're all in on them at this point.
They're going to be the new number 1 team. So
7-0, and I mean, they don't give up points.
No,
I guess they do technically against good teams, but
what a story!
Really.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I would like to see a little bit better passing attack, just a little bit. Their passing game worries me just a little bit, but no, the running attack is there. So Sioux Center, number 6 Sioux Center defeats number 16 MOC Floyd Valley 21-13. I don't really have stats for this one. I just like the Sioux Center team. I think they're going to be a sneaky team late that might get in. So keep an eye on that one. Last one I want to talk about, my boys, my other boys. Number 18 Grinnell defeats number 17 Benton 21-20. This is a Benton team that almost beat Solon in overtime. And poor Benton, 2 weeks in a row, almost same exact situation. They lose in overtime. They led this game 14-0 at halftime. Grinnell comes all the way back and goes to overtime. Grinnell scores first, then Benton scores, but then Benton doinks the PAT. Grinnell goes on to win. Brady Kaufman, 12 of 20, 161 yards, 1 touchdown, 40 rushes, and a touchdown as well. Grinnell is 5-2. Crucial district game because that pretty much eliminates Benton from playoff contention. Grinnell is now tied with Williamsburg for number 2 in the district. I love Grinnell. It's going to be really tough this week against Williamsburg, but even if they lose, they could still be a wild card team in. So good for Grinnell. Good win for the Tigers. Those games against Benton are always close, it feels like. But shout out to the boys back home. We'll jump to Class 2A. Number 1 Central Lyon defeats number 5 Western Christian 42-7. I don't have any stats on this one, but I can just tell you right now, I knew Western Christian, the loss last week to West Lyon was tough, but Central Lyon is just on a whole nother level.
They're ridiculously good. This game is about to be absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it's going to be insane against West Lyon this week. I hope there's a stream. I won't be able to watch it, but I hope there's a stream that people can watch because, boy, that's, unbelievable. Can you imagine if Central Lyon blows them out? Like, just blows them out again? And then I'm like...
I think it's like 2-peat.
Here's the thing that worries me, and I'll talk about Van Meter in a little bit because, spoiler, they're in a segment later, but Van Meter's schedule, besides Underwood, has been terrible. And we knew that at the beginning of the season when we saw Van Meter's schedule. But I quickly wanted to ask you to remind it. Do you think some teams wish they played a tougher schedule in a way instead of just throttling teams? Because Van Meter's averaging 70 points a game, but it's like, is that helping you?
Yeah. I'd say that most teams would love to change their schedule up.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is more of like, I think teams hate playing like back-to-back weeks of just hard. For Gilbert, for example, is what I think.
Well, yeah, and your district is set up by the state, so it's not like you can help that. But
yeah, it's just back-to-back weeks of.
I appreciate the schools that tried to get beyond district game. Like, look at Waverly Shell Rock. They knew they were getting themselves into it. Like, they were like, we're gonna schedule all these hard teams, and they did. But I don't know, just something I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Southeast Valley defeats Greene County 26-21. Southeast Valley is 5-2. They're a fun team. Cale Van Sickle, 9 of 16, 155 yards, 1 touchdown, 130 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, almost over 300 yards. Have yourself a day. Boy, my Greene County prediction. I really didn't have a Greene County prediction at the beginning of the year. I just thought they were going to be better. They just haven't been as great as I thought they were going to be. A good win for Southeast Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And then last 2A game. There's not many down here in the lower games. I just hate to say it. So it's going to be a quicker segment. Cherokee Washington gets back on track, defeats Unity Christian 2016. In our Friday episode that didn't release, Paul and I thought this would be an upset alert game, which I guess in a way it was kind of close. But Jackson Paulsrud, 6 of 8, 48 yards, 154 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Much needed win for Cherokee Washington.
Yeah, they needed this bad. They're young, so good to see them kind of have a bounce back win.
Tough schedule though. I mean, we can't not say they don't. I mean, aren't they in the same district as Central Lyon?
West Lyon, Central Lyon, Western Christian.
Yeah, so it's like it's a good year.
Practically, they play.
Yeah. I mean, they'll get it. That's just kind of one of those.
They're sophomore quarterback, sophomore quarterback, and then sophomore leading tackler. Receiving wise, I mean, I don't know. They don't really throw the ball, so who cares?
So keep an eye on this team. Is what we're saying in the next couple of years. Okay. 1A, Dike New Hartford. Man, I don't know about this team. They're just so on or off. They defeat Applington Parkersburg 41-9.
Noah explosion.
Yeah, Noah Borchherding, 17 carries, 119 yards, 3 touchdowns. I tell you what, man, I've said it the last couple of weeks. You don't want to face Dike New Hartford in the playoffs. You don't. They're going to be. They can maybe be a 4-loss team going in.
God, they forced 5 turnovers.
You don't want to face them. It's plain and simple. They can, if their offense is on, their defense is going to show up for the most part. So, yeah, don't mess with the Wolverines. Really fun team. Number 4, MFL Marmac takes care of number 5, Denver, 28-7. Wyatt Powell, 3 carries, 38 yards, also ran for 101 yards and had a touchdown. I'm in on MFL Marmac. I think they're a good team.
Backing up.
Who's their only loss?
It was to. Oh God. It was
it Sumner?
Sumner. Right? Sumner Fredericksburg.
I thought they beat Sumner Fred.
No, they lost 13-9.
Okay. Well, my brain hurts trying to figure out the Sumner Fred and MFL Marmac debate. I have no idea how that shapes out. But good win for MFL Marmac. What's crazy is they're doing this and they don't even have their quarterback that transferred away before the season started. We all thought Zach Driscoll was going to come in and be the guy. And then he transfers to Decorah. So then we're like, oh, well, there goes MFL Mormac. But they still stuck around. They've been there. And tough loss for Denver. Their schedule just wasn't there to start the season. I know I had them at the Dome. And I think maybe they can still get there. But you're playing tough teams, so maybe that helps you out. But, yeah, just tough loss.
1.1 yards per carry.
Ooh.
For Denver.
And that's Micah Greer. That's not easy to shut him down.
Exactly. I was going to say that's impressive.
I wonder if it rained during this game. I feel like it did. It rained up eastern side of Iowa most of the night. So this one, Paul, I'll admit, it caught me off guard. Number 6, Wilton, proved the doubters wrong. Defeating number 7, West Branch, 21-17. Owen Hassel, 25 carries, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. If I'm not mistaken, Wilton scored with like under a minute left to win this ball game. I'll give my claps. They're just impressive. I don't know what else to say about it. They had a 15-30 opponent record coming in. Statistically, the only thing that I gave Wilton when almost predicting this game, I said they're older. You know, they're older than West Branch in a couple ways. But what a win, man. And I feel like it was almost perfectly set up because they knew nobody thought they were good. But
yeah, I mean,
heck of a win.
And they lost the turnover battle.
Okay.
Still won. And they're older, but they're all juniors.
Yeah. Hang around. See you next year, Wilton. No matter what happens.
Watch out.
So I don't want to think ahead, but you know, they play Regina this week. Regina lost to West Branch. Good luck picking that game.
Yeah. I think I'm rocking.
That's one of those where I'll sit on it for 10 minutes and no idea what I'm up to. So I luckily have a 2-game lead in our prediction thing. So I can bear a loss, but
I choked it away with the Nevada Harlan thing.
Well, you got to think I choked. The Clarksville game was a big one. We'll talk about that. That was like what in the world? We'll go to Class A. I'll give Lisbon their flowers. They defeat Danville 63-14. Danville was 4-2 going into this game. So Lisbon takes care of business. Lisbon's schedule is very easy. I don't think they play a tough team the rest of the year. So they'll literally just see what they're made of in the playoffs. But good for the Lions, man.
They'll take it. Probably no injuries.
Yeah, they're just one of those teams. Finding ways to win. We'll give it to them. Maquoketa Valley defeats Northland 22-15. I heard this game was the most disgusting game in terms of like the field conditions. Like it was so muddy. But Lane McShane, 30 carries. Best name in football, Lane McShane. 30 carries, 154 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Huge game for the district. That district is really tough. Starmont, East Buchanan, Northland, Maquoketa Valley. I mean, that is a stacked district. And one of those teams is in our games of the week. 2 of those teams, actually, spoiler alert, are one of our games of the week this week. Huge game. Maquoketa Valley moves to 6-1. Northland falls to 5-2.
Yep, big one is 2.5 yards per carry for Northland. So, Maquoketa getting it done.
Tough sledding throughout. Another undefeated went down. Number 3, West Hancock defeats number 9, Lake Mills 41-0. Lake Mills meets their first true test and can't get it done. I will say, though, it was 16-0 at halftime, so take that as you will. But Mitchell Smith, why not? 9 carries, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, 10.5 tackles. I'm still waiting for Paul to make the post about why West Hancock is the best team ever after losing to St. Ansgar, even though St. Ansgar is still destroying the competition.
We're letting it build up.
Okay, if you say so.
It's going to be a playoff post.
Okay.
Be like going into their first playoff.
Lake Mills does not get a break. They get St. Ansgar this week. So get up, shake off the wounds, get back at it. I think they can still make the playoffs. They should still make the playoffs easily, but we'll see what happens. Good win for West Hancock.
Yes.
Boy, I don't know who I'd pick right now in a rematch between West Hancock and St. Ansgar, but
it's going to be a great game.
Fun.
Potentially. Let's
go to 8-player, where, in my opinion, there were a lot of shocks this week. This one just caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Number 9, Clarksville, said, we don't care about that defense, and goes on the road and beats Gladbrook Rhinebeck. Number 2, Gladbrook Rhinebeck, 38-36. McCade Blocker, 1 of 2, 29 yards and a touchdown. That was the game-winning touchdown, by the way. And then he ran for 116 yards and 3 touchdowns. This Gladbrook Rhinebeck defense was unbelievable. What in the world happened?
Absolutely no idea. The stats aren't too crazy, 4.4 yards per carry, and they literally only ran the ball. Like, nothing too wild there.
I tell you what, this is going to shoot Clarksville up to top 4 in the 8 player. Because remember, it's not RPI. It's based on, if I'm a committee member, I'm jumping Clarksville all the way up to 3 or 2 or 4.
Yeah.
Like, that's unbelievable what they just did.
Yeah, crazy. On the road, too.
Yeah. And
no
like,
stats for Gladbrook, so.
If I'm Winfield Mount Union, I'm licking my chops, man. You are now far and away the best team in 8 player. Yeah. And remember what we said at the very beginning? We're like, it'll take about 7 weeks, and then we'll know who the true best team is. We just found out who the best team in 8 is.
We just did.
Insane. Good for Clarksville, though. They put me on notice. These boys have a chance to go to the Dome.
Mm.
Baxter defeats Montezuma 52-46. Keep an eye on this Baxter team. They're now 5-2. Perrin Solzy, 22 of 42, 269 yards, 6 touchdowns. Also ran for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. Montezuma is 3-3, 4-3, 3-4, something like that.
4-4.
Good win for Baxter. So Montezuma's season is done, I believe, until the playoffs, unless they're playing an extra 9th game. But either way, big win for the Bolts. They are
actually just trailing 10, heading in the 22-point fourth quarter.
Wow. I didn't even write that down.
Little surge.
Good for them. Another team, Paul, that we're not talking about because honestly, statistically, should be number 2. When
I was about to say.
Number 7, Central City defeats Lone Tree 44-13. Lone Tree only had 1 loss. Central City only has 1 loss, and it's by 8 points to Winfield Mount Union. Granted, it was week 1, so, take that as you will, week 1, blah, blah, blah. But Central City's the closest team that's fought with Winfield Mount Union, and they're just winning out ever since.
About 10 yards of carry this game. Throwing 4.5 sacks for Makai Benton by himself.
He was unbelievable. I posted about him on that stat getter thing. He was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Last game, they just keep finding ways to win, Paul. I said I'm not doubting them anymore, and I'm not. Yeah. Number 5, Remsen St. Mary's defeats Woodbine 56-26. That's a good win. Woodbine's a very good team. Remsen just keeps finding a way. Their winning streak is now, I think, 20 games, 21 games, something like that. Them and Grundy Center and Van Meter, I believe, all have the same. But crazy. They just keep winning.
Yeah. I mean, they averaged 15.4 yards a carry.
Jeez.
That's ridiculous. That doesn't even compute in my brain.
Insane.
8-man stat right there.
Good for
28 points in the second quarter, too. Jeez.
Yeah. No, that's phenomenal. It's time for Friday Night Standout. Ironically, Paul and I chose the 2 players from the same game, but it's warranted because they both had phenomenal games.
It's probably game of the week.
What?
Probably biggest game of the week.
Well, yeah. Biggest statement of the week. I'm going to go with Kyle Kingsbury. I said it earlier. I mean, 4 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown, 3 interceptions. Are you kidding me? I didn't put him on the 1 page just because his stats weren't out. I didn't know he had 3 picks, but talk about showing out in the biggest game of the year so far for them when they needed it. Huge game for Kyle, huge game for the Cubs. And then Paul, ironically, chose the other good player.
The other dude that performed for them, Kason Stevenson, 204 yards, 3 touchdowns on 18 attempts. It's kind of a broken record for me and Blake here. He showed up in easily the biggest game for Nevada this year. So
they got some dogs, man. They're all around.
Yeah, we were hyping them up, and then we went down on the hype because of the Hampton game, and now we're back.
I took a slight step back, but I said
you were all in.
Yeah. I was just like a minor inconvenience. Yeah, it's just like, okay, fine. You can have a slip out. For Bound to Overreact, actions are getting harder as the weeks go on. I don't know if you can tell,
at this
but
point.
We'll try to keep it going just a little bit. But my overreaction is 2A will not even be close. Van Meter and Central Lyon are above everything else. I think don't even bother showing. I mean, 2 other teams are going to get in, yes, but we might as well make the posters for the 2A title game. I think Van Meter and Central Lyon are clearing away the best 2 teams. I think West Lyon gives Central Lyon a good fight this week. I just see Central Lyon so good. Now, this could come back in my face if West Lyon wins this week, but I think Central Lyon is just by far and away one of the top teams. I did say that thing about Van Meter. The schedule kind of worries me, but it's Van Meter, man. I'm not doubting Van Meter. That dynasty has only been derailed by one man, and he's currently playing corner and is one of the best players in college football for the University of Iowa. So it took that man to derail this Van Meter dynasty. So give me my overreaction is nobody's beating Van Meter in Central Lyon. They will easily walk to the 2A title game.
Gotcha.
I like yours, by the way.
Yeah, my overreaction is Solon's the best team in 3A. And I think they proved that by beating Williamsburg. First, we thought that Cockrell was hurt and he might be nursing an injury, right? Potentially. So maybe that's why it was like weird snap and that Derek is coming in and playing for him or something. Maybe re-aggravated it. Again, that's all theory.
Does Creston's win over Harlan get devalued now? What's Creston's best win now?
I don't know if it gets devalued. It's tough. I mean, Harlan's coming off that game. Like
that's true.
Tough game to just come off. Heartbreak. Like you get heartbroken, and then you got to go play another team that's like been waiting for this moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, Solon, best team in Class 3A right now, in my opinion.
I'm with you.
But hey, it's
two of the best wins.
Yes, two of the best wins. They in week 1. Just a fluke. Like I won't say fluke. Good win for Assumption, but
they beat 2 defending or runner-ups.
Yeah.
In each class. I just now thought about it. They beat the 3A defending runner-up and they beat the 2A defending runner-up.
Yeah.
Bro, Williamsburg, like that game, I get it. Zach Lutmer's a hell of a player, but like, what in the world? I thought Williamsburg had that thing in the bag.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. I remember that.
Wasn't it like 10-6?
Yeah, it was a defensive. And the last play of the game, the lateral was like, they're like lateraling it for like a good amount.
Oh, man. That was just a weird one. I like it, though. Solon, number 1 team. I don't know if they're going to jump in the RPI just because of that one loss to Assumption, which just kind of weird when you look at it. Assumption's really good. Don't get me wrong, but I think Clear Lake will be number 1. I think Creston will be number 2. Solon number 3. So, and then who'd be number 4? Decorah lost. Maybe Williamsburg will only drop back to 4. Honestly, yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. So, it'd be funny if like Williamsburg still ahead of Solon in the RPI.
I won't be shocked.
Yeah, that's crazy. Bound to Talk awards. I'm giving out the Prove 'em Wrong award to the Wilton Beavers. Definitely the biggest, like, proving the doubters wrong. Williamsburg was a big one over Xavier early in the season. Don't get me wrong, because we all picked Xavier. Blah, blah, blah. That was a big, that was cool. Williamsburg wrote bound equals clown on their board in the locker room before the game. That was cool.
Yeah.
But Wilton, besides a couple of the girls on our staff that I think just looked at the records. I don't want to call them out, but besides just look at the records when making predictions, nobody thought Wilton was going to win this game, man. And they knew it. They knew nobody thought they were going to win that game. So they went out and proved them wrong. And they proved me wrong, and I'll stand behind that. So I want to give my Prove 'em Wrong award to Wilton because I was just very impressed by the Beavers. Go out and do it again, man. Go out. You got another big game this week. Let's keep proving the doubters wrong. If you lose this week, it stinks, but you at least held on to it for 1 week, and that's all that matters.
Yep. Go Wilton, man. I had no idea that they would win that game. No thought. So, congrats. And my award's going to be Business Trip Award for Southeast Polk to just walk into Waukee and blank them. And
that's not a bad award.
Yep, and I'm doing that because, honestly, you could have been saying if they struggled, it would have been just, hey, they're looking ahead to Southeast Polk. Dowling, sorry. But nope, not even thinking.
I was one of those guys that thought they might struggle a little bit because the Johnston game. Like, they clearly put the Johnston game in the rearview mirror and said, that ain't happening again. That's like, that was the biggest one for me. So, yeah. They played 2 close games this year. Ironically, they've been at home. But like you said, business trip, they're good on the road.
They're just good.
So we'll see what happens this week when Dowling comes to town. But speaking of which, it's time to go over our games of the week for this week. This will be out on Monday morning. Fingers crossed. Jack gets the post out on Monday morning. I sent him the games this evening, so we'll see what happens. Praying that he puts the right logos in, praying he puts in the right pictures, and he doesn't put a community college in there. You just never know.
Abu Sama.
You just never. Knowing Jack, yeah. Picture of Abu Sama and Gavin Williams for Dowling.
Yep.
Or who is the quarterback that's now at Penn State? I can't think of his
Jackson.
name. Oh, Jackson Smollett. Yeah.
That'd
That'd be funny. Riley Gaffney. All right, so our 5A game of the week, surprise, surprise, Dowling Catholic versus Southeast Polk. We're going to put Paul on the spot again. Give us a one sentence, like what to expect from this game. Dowling Southeast Polk, Paul, give me your best.
How the running backs do and up front.
You just stole my thing.
Yeah, I did because
I'll just go offensive line play. Best line wins.
How the line plays.
Also, should be noted, Paul did some meteorology before the show started. Weather ain't looking too good for Friday, so keep an eye out for that. I'm kind of worried for the broadcast because I'm calling that game. The way that the Southeast Polk press box is set up is we have to put our cameras indoors because on the outside is where everybody's walking. Well, the problem is the window doesn't open. So, like, if the rain is coming at the window and it's heavy, we can't see. So, fingers crossed it doesn't rain toward the window and it might rain. I don't know what happened, but we'll see what happens. When's the last time not preseason? I don't know if Dowling Southeast Polk were 1-2 when they met a couple years ago, but when's the last time this late in the year we got a number 1 versus number 2? Because Ankeny wasn't number 2 last year, were they?
No. It's probably a Valley Dowling.
Yeah, probably.
Like matchup at some point.
Embrace it because it doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
Number 4, or 4A, our 4A game of the week. Gilbert goes to Newton, home of the Iowa Speedway, home of the NASCAR Cup Series in June 2024. Yay. Gilbert goes to Newton. Playoff hopes have to stay alive.
Yeah. Bounce back for Gilbert.
You got a target on your back, Gilbert. And Newton, the Cardinals, they're not woodpeckers, but they'd be pecking at that target on your back because Newton needs to win, and they're not dumb. They know they need to win, and they're on a little bit of a streak here. They beat Pella and then took care of business against Hoover, I think. I can't remember, but either way, be careful, Gilbert. Don't slack. You got to wake up. Got to get back to it. Class 3A. This is the one I'm excited for. Creston hosts Nevada. 2 teams that are at the top of their districts. District champion is crowned. What do you think?
This could be the game of the week, but what's up with week 7 or week 8? Sorry. Why is there like loaded? This is like a week 2 type.
It's almost all district championships in a way, kind of. Gilbert Newton's not a district championship game,
but then they just throw in Dowling and Southeast Polk in there. Like,
they spoiled us.
They did,
but it's because week 9. Have you seen week 9?
Yeah, week 9 we don't talk about week 9.
Week 9 we're not talking about. We might have some. Jack made a joke. I think it was Jack. He's like, we need to put an 0-8 team versus an 0-8 team as our game of the week in week 9. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Low key.
No, we're not doing it. Come on now. Creston Nevada.
Dude, these teams are both. I like Creston.
Well, yeah, I mean, I knew that. I knew that going in. Here's my thing. It's going to rain maybe. So it favors Nevada just a little bit. The biggest thing for Nevada, you have to put Harlan in the rearview mirror. You got to wake up. You got to move on. Creston is better than Harlan. You know, Brennan Hayes versus Cason Stevenson. It's pretty plain and Jane. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
The Lions, Central Lion, West Lion, the Beef Bowl.
This game's gonna be phenomenal. I like the defensive matchup, like the offense versus defensive. Central Lion puts points up, but West Lion, I mean, probably one of the best defensive teams in the state.
I think West Lion just has to have a decent offensive game, and they could win it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just, can West Lion slow down Central Lion's defense? Or
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Words.
1A, Wilton versus Regina. Fun game.
Yeah, fun game.
I'm going to sit on predicting this for a while.
Yeah, this is probably one of the better ones for me. I just want to
tell you what, there are 1, 2, 3. I'm not kidding. There's no gimmies in predictions this week, honestly.
No,
in weeks past, we've had a couple gimmies. They're like, okay. But this week, I'm not kidding. You can make a case for every single team here.
Yeah, for me, I just can't Owen Hassel keep putting up tons of touchdowns. Like
that's another big one. Okay, you won. Now keep it up. Prove them again. Regina's a different team than West Branch. I know Regina lost to West Branch, but Regina's its own monster. Keep it up. Got to keep the show rolling. Our Class A game of the week. Fitting. I don't think we've ever had these teams as game of the weeks. I should go back and figure out or make a list of all of our games of the week. Make it like a college game day thing. Like, who have we not ever picked for game of the week? Anyway, and who have we had the most? It's got to be Southeast Polk, unfortunately, but, that's what it is.
Makes sense.
It's either that or I bet Harlan's up there, too. Anyway, Starmont versus Maquoketa Valley, two teams that have only one loss. Crucial, and I mean crucial, district matchup. I will look at it when it comes to Wednesday, but this might be the district championship game, possibly. We'll see what happens because Starmont has a loss, and it might be to North Lynn, but I'm not sure. I need to go back and check. But
yeah, for me, can Lance McShane get back to it and just keep doing what he does?
That's a good running back battle. Very good running back battle. So they set themselves up well. And then our 8-player game of the week, expect fireworks. Baxter takes on Audubon. Two teams that are – Audubon only has one loss. Baxter has 2 losses. Baxter technically has a better offense. Audubon was in our game of the week a couple weeks ago against Glidden Ralston. Another important game when it comes to where you seat yourself for the playoffs. Expect points.
Baxter just airs it out.
Yeah.
2 different contrasting ways of playing.
Yeah.
So,
and then our fan favorite game of the week, very important for the RPI. Centennial takes on Waukee Northwest. Major game for the Wolves. Major game for the Jags. They'll make it at 5-4, but I don't think they want to be 5-4 going into the playoffs. This is one of those games where if you're in the top 5, you want Centennial to win because you don't want to have to face Centennial in the first round.
Yeah.
So take that.
This is always a good one. Like defensively, this is usually like very low score.
Sam Johnson versus Trenton Smith, Elijah Porter, Maverick Inman. Fun. A lot of star talent in that game. Yeah. Maverick Inman and Chase Shuddy. That's a good tight end duo, too. So we'll have to see how everything shakes out. It's going to be a cool week. Temperatures in about the 40s, 45, 50. It's going to rain across the state on Friday night. At least it's forecasted to. So should shape up to be a pretty fun week. It's already week 8, man. We're closing in. Paul and I will be back on Wednesday to go over RPI and the rankings in Class 2A, 1A, A, and 8-player. Those come out tomorrow at 1 o'clock, so I will be scrambling my hardest to get those out like right when they drop. I kind of wanted to email like Chris Quayle and be like, hey, I'm not going to share them. Can you like send them to me at like noon so I can get like them prep? But they want to beat us in it. I understand. They're the association, whatever. Yeah. I respect them. We need to get on the good side because we don't know what's going to happen for state football. But anyway, appreciate everything the association's doing. I doubt anyone listens over there, but hey, we love you guys. Thanks for what you do. Thanks for supporting Bound. But so that's all I got. Anything else? Anything you want to get off your chest? The Twins are 1-1 with the Astros. Your Golden Gophers got killed on national television.
It wasn't that bad.
52-10.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Twins still. I thought you were talking about
I was talking about the Golden Gophers.
Yeah, no, the Gophers I don't want to talk about.
Hey,
PJ Flex. Go Twins.
PJ Flex said that was the best Michigan team he's ever seen.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah.
They're the number 1 team in the country right now.
All right. Well, that's it. We're rambling. We'll see everyone on Wednesday. Thanks for watching Bound to Talk Football. Take it easy.
Have a good week.